Welcome to the CW Comic Book Crew. I'm your host, Chris Hoffman. Of course, I got my crew here. We're all back together again. Finally, we got Des, Brandon, Rob, and Cecily over there. Please get her some questions.
Yes.
Comments,
I
anything.
Questions, comments.
She's got to earn her money.
Yeah. We're talking Black Panther, so if y'all have any comments about Black Panther.
I want to say, I'm sorry I missed it. We had a little Batman sighting there last week.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
No
idea what
No, Batman was here last week. It was a lot of fun. You missed a really fun show.
Batman
yeah, you did.
Was, Batman was
one
here.
show I've missed.
Batman was here, but you weren't here, so what happened?
I plead the fifth.
All right, we plead the fifth. Hey, man, I'm coming in hot today. I'm coming in hot.
The lights?
No, it's not. It's actually really cold in this room. But look, so last night was the Oscars. We were going to talk about it, but we feel by like 12:30, everybody knows what's going down with the Oscars.
Yeah.
But there was one thing that happened that I'm really kind of not too happy about. The in memoriam package, a slight person left off. Adam West. What?
Yeah,
Adam West was not in
crazy.
the in memoriam package, and I got a problem with that.
I mean, they've been doing this for years. Like they've been like
not
leaving out
everybody can be in it, right? I get it. But we spent like a week, like in memoriam for Adam West. We all loved him. He was a great character and a great actor. And yeah, maybe he did a lot of TV and not too many movies, but I thought maybe a 3-second still of his face, and hey, Adam.
You're talking about how Logan got robbed.
Logan did go robbed, but
Logan got robbed.
Maybe the Batman dance that he was doing. Maybe
the Bat Tuesday did not do it, sir. All right, so let's get to the CW programming. Why we're all here every week. Guys, we had so much fun last week with all the superhero shows returning, but I know what you guys are saying. There was one show that didn't return that we all wanted. Well, we saved it for this week. Riverdale returns, baby.
Finally.
This week, you're going to check out Riverdale. Let's take a look at the trailer for this week so we can all remember what happens.
The point of this luxury weekend is to relax and unplug. I credit you with a lot of things, but being cruel is not one of them.
Midge is that open-minded. Yeah, she knows all about us.
Clearly, you're in a lot of pain. Feel free to tremble. I might have to punish you.
It's like the four of us are in a powder keg. All it would take is one match and we'd all blow up.
Riverdale. All new episodes return Wednesday, March 7th, only on the CW and the CW app.
Well, I had a feeling they were going to shake some things up, and they certainly did with this trailer.
Shake is not the right
Shake
verb,
is not the
sir.
verb.
If you thought Riverdale was sexy and scandalous, they just went over the board and like, you know what? All the sex
Hey, we're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Look, it's great. So Riverdale has been on for a hot minute now, so now we're all going to get back into it. So easiest way to do it, I'm going to show you right now. Go on the CWC. Catch up on the last few episodes, get back into it, know where you're kind of staying. That way, when it happens this Wednesday, you get to watch Riverdale, you know what's going down.
Exactly, yeah.
You can catch all your, look, you can get all the favorite shows. Any show you want, you can actually, any CW show you want, you can check on the season, you can get Dynasty Valor, Supergirl, of course, DC Legends tomorrow.
Constantine, the animated series.
All sorts of fun stuff, lots of cool stuff, right? So that's my little plug for you guys. Go enjoy that, that's fun. But catch up on Riverdale, because it does start back up this Wednesday. I know it's highly anticipated.
Everybody's
really
waiting for it.
Yeah.
It's been like a month.
Dark Betty's coming back.
It has been, yeah, right? It's been like a month. That all being said, we want to hop into our superhero spotlight, which is Archie.
Archibald, Archie, Asbury.
Now, everybody's been saying, is he a superhero? But no, come on.
No, he's part of the comic book world, and that's what we pride ourselves on.
I
Is
don't
being
know.
part of the
I
comic
think
book.
he is kind of a little bit of a superhero.
He's able to juggle two women at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
He's a do-gooder though. I mean, so I think that's why.
When I say that, I mean that in all the good intention. He has a thing for Veronica. He has a thing for Betty. He's always caught in the middle, and somehow he's not a jerk. That's the superpower right there.
And Kevin Smith really went down and tried to dissect the whole, relationships there too, and chasing Amy. So it was really cool.
I like Archie. I'm more of a Jughead fan. I mean, just down to my core.
Man.
Look, I'll eat a sandwich all day. I'm all about
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
Like Jughead. Why is the show about Jughead?
Look, I'm fine. But Archie's a great character. I love how they casted in this show. All the variations of Archie through the last 70 plus years now. I can't really think of a time when I wasn't like, well, Archie is kind of dumb. Like, look. It's a great little happy character that they have now morphed into this way more statistic character on
I love it.
Riverdale.
Dark
I'm not
Archie.
against it.
I mean, he was a book from the times. I mean, he's been around for a long time.
That's the exact way of
you kind of have
Longer
that
than any
campy
of
feel
us.
of him.
Do you get people coming in asking for Archie comics
A lot
now
of it
and
has to
things?
do with Riverdale.
Yeah,
actually.
I hope so.
think like once the Afterlife of the Archie stuff happened a couple years ago, where the whole zombie storyline thing happened.
that was a thing.
I mean, that did help lead an influx people coming in. But now I get all kinds of age ranges, and it's a thing that every comic company is trying to figure out is how to reach that young female reader who's in between that like 13 to 18 range.
Right.
And this book, or the show, is helping those people come into the store wanting to read Riverdale.
Sure.
This
Archie.
Riverdale is kind of a classic CW show. Really, it really is. All the way back in the days of the WB shows.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like those dang Dawson River kids. Like all these shows have kind of had a real similar kind of archway, and then they've really kind of struck a chord with merging a pop culture kind of icon, which is Archie and the gang, and their drama series, which they've always done really well, and kind of combining them and making this really interesting show that, gosh, I don't know where the end game is for the show, but I mean, zombies might be a thing.
Scooby-Doo crossover.
I really hope they don't do zombies because it's a genre on a downturn. So I really hope they don't do that.
We'll see. Well, they might be able to reinvent it because they have even said Archie was
I don't know. Walking Dead's done kick that thing dead.
All right, let's stop talking about Archie and the zombies. If you want to read that, go down to Rob's shop. He can show you where those are. Those are odd little books.
Rob Zombies.
Switch the channel over to our Fox affiliate, Fox 29. Gotham. Weird episode. One of the most iconic shots we saw in the whole episode was kind of a reinvented Joker. He basically had the scarring on his face, real scary. Really getting that Joker we know now from
that kind of feel from the New 52 where
that's what I was saying.
He's cut the face off. And,
so it was definitely interesting.
Nicolas Cage style.
Man, John Travolta's going to be in the next episode.
Did they reboot? I mean, did they come back with enough power that you feel with that second half?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I was compelled the whole time. I think the downturn, though, is I still don't think this is the Joker.
Right.
And they pretty much said it, and they said it last week, that they will reveal the Joker by the end of this season. And we'll see if that's true. Does this Joker kind of, sort of, not really Joker hold up?
Well, I mean, why would they tell you, though? I know they've been, like, adamantly denying he's not the Joker, but why would they tell you that Jamal's the Joker? They want you to watch.
How I Met Your Wife mess. About, like, it was this, we thought it was this whole other thing, and then, like, the last season, like, oh, no, it's this other girl.
What do they have to lose? I mean, their back's against the wall. I mean, if they can pull this out of their hat and do it right, they can get another season out of this and keep going.
Compelling storytelling will always be the prime in these kind of shows, and it's still compelling, still very interesting. Seeing what happens with Penguin, seeing what happens with now the other characters coming in with
Poison Ivy,
and of course Catgirl. I call her Catgirl. She's still pretty young.
I still want an alternate universe, just kind of one season.
I think this is.
I want a little bit. No,
Elseworlds.
No, I want a little Thomas. I want a little bit of Thomas Wayne. I want a little Thomas Wayne back. Just a little bit.
If they do the whole Back to the Future thing, I'm kind of out. They do the whole thing.
Look, it works well for Archer.
It does. Look. All right. So I got to move on to the movie side of things. This is the in between where we talk about movies and not movies. The Netflix Prime kind of series things. We're going to start with Full Metal Alchemist on Netflix. Here's a movie that kind of came out of nowhere.
In fact, you were like the other day, you were like, we got to talk about this.
We got to talk about it because it's very interesting. The trailer is very, I mean, it is very true to its origins. It's a Japanese kind of an anime, but live action. It doesn't look bad. But boy, this movie is a garbage fire.
Oh, man.
I liked it.
Not holding back at all.
I liked it a lot. I don't know what Brandon's talking about.
All right, so what did you like about it? And then I'll try to find a middle ground here.
I'm just gonna shoot.
First of all, I'm gonna say watching at least just the first 5 minutes of this was way better than the Death Note live action.
I mean,
don't ever watch that. That is the true garbage fire.
That's fired.
Okay, so here's my retaliation. The first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes, pretty good. It's everything in between. Even I knew the show. I've watched pretty much every episode of the anime. I went, what's going on? Because I have no idea. That, and Edward has absolutely no guilt about hurting his brother and turning him into a suit of honor.
Yes, he does. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah,
did you watch the movie?
It wasn't very guilt. Like watching TV show and you're like, wow, that boy really has some issues. You need to see a psychiatrist. This movie's like, he'll be over in a week. That's pretty much the vibe I got of it.
The problem with these things is it's a trope. I mean, if they don't learn, stop trying to create animes that are beloved with the hardcore fan base and turn them into a live action. Dragon Ball Evolution. Why?
We don't speak of that abomination.
It happened.
No, we don't speak of Airbender. So here's my question.
We start with Airbender, man.
So now this is the second one we've seen kind of hit Netflix. Netflix being Death Note, and they've already, and this, of course, Full Metal Jacket. I'm sorry.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket.
This is my rifle.
And you said you can't really do another, but what would you say could be done? My first instinct is like a One Punch or something like that, where you kind of could follow that series along.
I can see that. It'd have to be really high end in terms of a budget. Like it'd have to be a really high end blockbuster.
I mean, Netflix isn't short of those budget things, and effects are kind of cheap now, so you can kind of get away. Yeah. Like this Full Metal Alchemist movie, I don't think was made for more than a few million. It looks fantastic for what it is. If you watch it without sound,
it did look good,
and you knew what it was, you enjoyed it. But if you didn't know what it was, you're like, I have no idea what's going on.
And I think that's what they're banking on too, is acquiring new viewers that maybe aren't familiar with that, and then get them to like, hey, after you've seen that movie, check out our anime section on Netflix.
That's actually absolutely what they did with Death Note. If you didn't know what Death Note was, you watched the movie, then you watched the anime, you're like, wow, the anime is way better. Yeah. But you just spent 18 hours of your life watching Death Note, and they got you.
That's what they wanted.
They hooked you. So,
keep watching.
Now, can we get a Cowboy Bebop?
Cowboy Bebop.
I want a Cowboy Bebop.
I'm sure that's going to be next.
That's seriously a space western. I mean, that's kind of right up Netflix alley.
But not Cowboys versus aliens. No, don't go that far. Don't go that far.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Daniel Craig.
That was a paycheck for Harrison Ford. If I had to put my hat down on something, I'd say Lupin the Third.
Right.
That'd be putting my hat down. I put Lupin the Third as the anime crossover movie. I think it would work well.
Well, Netflix has got something else coming out real quick.
Little thing.
Little thing. We've been all waiting for since The Defenders, and that's Jessica Jones.
Also
season
on
2.
March 8th. Everything's coming out on March 8th.
Everything is on March 8th. So
it's a good date.
No work will be getting done March 8th, is what you're saying.
Right, not at all. Yeah, Jessica Jones comes out.
Jones.
I'm excited about that.
I'm real excited about it. What about you, Des? You just love that show.
It's great.
It is.
It's the perfect female heroine, but it's not really. She's kind of sort of an anti-hero.
She is.
Yeah.
I think we'll see more of that this season.
The way that Kristen Ritter has portrayed this character has been by far, I think, of course, next to Daredevil, the best adaptation of this character on Netflix.
Pretty good.
Marvel.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I hope they get rid of some of the copious sex scenes because it was a little awkward watching.
That's what makes it awkward. You have to have that awkwardness of like, oh my god.
But that's the problem. That's like them harkening back to the book because it was a Marvel Knights comic, which if you don't know, Marvel Knights or the Marvel Max was that basically the company within the company of when they got to just really do like R-rated stuff.
Yeah, the gritty kind of like Punisher was kind of their big seller, and then Sentry, one of my favorites, Sentry was on there too.
So,
something you'll never see.
They kind of had to tip.
Well, I like that we're going to kind of delve into what became, how she became Jessica, how she became origins kind of deeper into that. I love that. And here's another thing. Don't you think you put a leather jacket on Cecily? Doesn't she have that? Doesn't he have that Jessica Jones look there?
I could totally play Jessica Jones.
Just don't throw anyone across the room, please.
Just don't throw anyone across the room.
I stand here.
On this middle ground of movie TV thing, I want to talk about The Tick too, because I know we talked about it like 5 months ago. Hey, remember The Tick's coming out? It came out again. The second part of season 1 released early last week.
And now that you forgot about it.
And now that you forgot about it, right? I watched the whole thing. I really enjoy this show. As weird as it is, it really gives me the full Tick vibe. Like the Tick is kind of just the Tick. Yeah, right. The terror. He's absolutely fantastic. The whole show's great. Here's the problem, though. If you didn't watch those first 6 episodes 5 months ago, you have no idea what happened. Here's the problem, though. If you've watched those 5 episodes 5 months ago, you have no idea what happened because it's been 5 months since they've released, and there's no recap at the beginning of the show. It just jumps right back in, like, hey, episode 6, here you go. So I was kind of at a loss, even though I enjoyed the show. I had no idea what happened 5 months ago. Right, it's kind of a problem. That being said, late last week they've announced they're going to do a season 2. They greenlit the season 2. I'm excited. I hope they don't do the same shenanigans where they kind of split it up. But this was split up for a very specific reasons because they didn't know how well it would do. It did well. They filmed and released the second part of it. It looks great. There's really a lot of continuity in it because even though they are months apart from filming, it doesn't look like it. It looks very smooth, very seamless. And like I said, the Tick is fantastic in the show. Arthur's absolutely. It's more of a show about Arthur than the Tick. Like any great Tick comic, Arthur is really the character you want to follow. Tick is just kind of there. But in this season, or this second part of the season, it kind of goes in the origins of Tick. Something that's always been very controversial and very interesting. At one point, he thinks he's a Bulgarian robot. So I mean, right. Okay. It's a fantastic show. If you have Amazon Prime, check it out. If not, hope it comes out on DVD because this is a great show.
We know it comes out on DVD. I don't feel like spending all that money just for one show.
Right. I mean, that's fair. All right. So let's finally do it. It's been like 2 weeks. We've been pulling off the big screen. Black Panther came out.
Exploded.
I
mean, we knew it was going to do well. We didn't know it was going to do this well.
It did really well.
I mean, Cecily's just in awe of it. I love it.
Yes. At first, I wasn't looking too forward to it. I was like, oh, I'll see it. Okay. But I went and it blew my mind. It surpassed my expectations of it.
Well, we're gonna look at the good. What was the good?
Yeah, man, let's hop right in. I want to talk about the good.
The costumes and the graphics were all great. I really enjoyed the fight scenes. That was my thing. I wanted to see more fight scenes. Definitely that race that they did, or it was the chase in the cars. That was amazing.
Yeah. So let's really dive into the good. Let's all go around the table. What was something you really enjoyed? The good about Black Panther.
Casting.
The acting, you really dug it?
Yeah, the casting was very well casted. Like, you wouldn't there were some people who may have not have known beforehand of this, but the way they worked together and the chemistry, it came off really, really well. And it's honestly, it's the best I've seen out of the Marvel movies.
There's some fantastic chemistry in this movie.
Music.
You love the music?
I mean, I love everything what she just said, but the music, I loved how it just
it worked
really
a lot better. I heard
Lamar.
the album before I saw the movie. It didn't work as an album, but as a movie soundtrack, it works perfectly. It works really great. You had a good?
I think they did a couple different goods. I mean, I agree with Des on the casting. I think they did a phenomenal job with it. I think just in terms of introducing, it's an origin, you know, so I think we get lost in it's like the 20th movie in Marvel, so it should be or whatever. Yeah. So then
who's counting?
Exactly right. So, but I want to be able to be introduced to new characters, a new world, a new something that people might not understand.
Right.
And so they did a great job with that, as opposed to just jumping in and here's this slow origin and here are these characters.
Right.
And you didn't feel bored. It kept you entertained.
That's kind of very much what my good was. Is that this story is fantastic. It's a great story. It's well put together. It's well written. And I'll save some of this harp for later when I get to the bad.
Yeah, because I also have to kind of get on that.
Right. So let's move on to bad. Bad things that just probably could have been better. Let's start with Chris.
It was kind of, in the middle parts, it does hit that lull. It always does, but it hit that lull. After that challenge and he gets whooped or whatever, Black Panther, and sorry, spoiler, but he gets whooped.
It's been 2 weeks. We told you we were going to
but it kind of hit a lull. And, some movies do that. This one really hit that speed bump,
It does. Des?
I really have to say, what I didn't like was the actual, the final, fight scene between Killmonger and
that's very fair. Absolutely fair.
I get it, they're in the cave with the vibranium in it, but I was just like, why? Because what was the point of having every couple seconds you lose the suits and the power, cool, but then you get it back. It made no sense.
Yeah, that was done. I'm right there with you. It had a lull. The first part and the last part, fantastic parts. It was great cinema. It was great action. That middle part though, boy, did I want to go to the bathroom and get some popcorn more than ever.
Same thing.
It was. Seriously, it was very much the vibe. What they could have done, I mean, you could skin a cat 1,000 different ways. I don't know if you could fix that for every movie.
Right.
But I think it just shortened it. Some of the editing, some of that stuff, it just didn't. The vibe and the pacing was just not the same. And it was almost like two different people were directing it, and that's not the case at all with this movie.
They cut a little bit of that middle and, like you said, shorten it up. I mean, I think that was the whole thing.
A little better. So
I kind of jump on with Des here too about I think in terms of just the reliance on CG, I think that's the way the movies have gone a lot lately. But and it looks phenomenal for good 90% of the film. But that fight scene, it was so heavy CG that it just looked too fake.
Right.
And it's just what would have been wrong with just leaving them out there fighting on the land, as opposed to putting them in that
Spider-Man 3, him fighting.
Because they were relying too heavily going to the suits of the vibraniums affecting our stuff, and it kept changing and alternating, and I think that hindered you're focusing on that as opposed to the storytelling of them fighting back and forth.
Cecily, did you have something you just didn't like? It was
It
kind
took
of off?
Michael B. Jordan too long to die.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, you should have died down at the bottom.
It was a little ridiculous.
He took him to the sunset, and I understand why,
but he gave him a great
But he didn't ride off into the sunset.
That line was bad. That line was good.
I was like, is he seriously dragging him up, and he's not going to die? He's not dead yet. A normal person would have died.
Well, he's not. All right, so let's move on to the ugly. I'm going to start this one because Rob had the point I was pretty much going to make for the ugly. CGI was actually kind of bad. And I know maybe I'm not the only person that thinks this, but I know I'm a very small majority who thought this CGI is not going to hold up in a few years. Even the next Avenger movie looks already better in their trailers than some of the CGI I saw in Black Panther. practical effects would have been a little better. The scene where they're going on and off with the suits of armor, I didn't want that at all. I wanted a knockdown, drag-out fight with no powers and absolutely no costume.
But we already
that
had
would have
that
been
fight.
way more interesting than this weird.
We already had that fight. That fight was at the towards the middle of the movie.
That's what I'm saying. It should have been a better version of that, or switch them. Half on, half off, and then no holds barred, knockout, drag out. And it just, that CGI, man, it just took me out of the movies sometimes because I was just watching it going, oh, that looks kind of wonky. That looks, the blurring effect around the costume looks kind of weird. Or you know what I'm saying? Like, that was my whole.
You wanted the Hulk Hogan moment where he puts the hand up and he's like this. So, but yeah. I mean, that was it. I thought pacing was really good, but, we really wanted something a little bit more ugly. Why killing Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah.
Can we quit killing off Forrest Whitaker?
He's come on. He just moved on from the Rogue One set and just went to Black Panther's like, okay, guys, I'm ready to die again.
Isn't his contract? He only wants to do one film. Like, I don't want to be here for the franchise.
I don't want to. Yeah, right. I feel that. I'm totally down with that.
I do have one bad that it's not so much in the movie. It's so much the community. It's just there was some certain references and stuff that were in this movie, and people were like, "That's super dated." I was like, "You got to remember, this movie's not set in 2018."
Yeah, right, absolutely.
And people don't understand that this movie's not set what you think it is. So that reference, what are those?
Right.
They could have done a better job of establishing this isn't when. Like in Spider-Man, we all knew it was in the future.
Yeah.
This could have done a lot better job of referencing, hey, this is at this time period.
They gave you the
true fans know.
They gave you the catch up of that just happened last week. T'Challa just died.
Yeah, right.
But I think the ugly for me was was good for most of the film was the writing. I think in terms of it felt not lazy, but just I guess a little lazy in terms of storytelling.
Kind of phoned in.
It just felt like.
Did you hate that?
It just,
I never freeze.
No, I just felt like it just. They just took a outline that's sitting around on some desk in Hollywood of this is how you make a film like this.
Oh, I found this Stan Lee outline how to make a Marvel movie. Let's do this.
And I think the film was great. I think it was phenomenal. But just kind of back up the other guy's side, DC. DC tries to stick by the book and everyone kind of hangs them out for it. Yep. But Black Panther completely changed Killmonger's story and it's totally different what they do in the movies, but it's still going to be celebrated because the film's so good. But DC, if they would have done that, it would have been the end of the world.
It's that old adage, if you're on the top of the mountain, everything looks awesome. If you're on the bottom of the mountain, you can't do anything right. Life and Death WCW, check that book out.
But Cecily has got a
Our
really
viewers
cool
have
comment.
seen the movie. So Jesse James says, I thought it sucked, and the only reason why I stayed is because I'm cheap and I don't want to leave after paying for it. So
that's how I feel in Spurs games. I lose by 30, but I pay for this ticket. I'm staying.
Real quick, we got to move on, but some Avengers Infinity War news.
Yeah,
just real
man,
quick.
absolutely. We got a new date. They moved it back up, I guess, a week.
Right. Well, the power of Robert Downey Jr.
April 27, 2018, we will see Avengers come out. Infinity War. We're all excited about it. We'll see. We'll have more on this as soon as we get more.
I know.
Look, it's a thing.
Des, you got some video games. I know you've been talking. Life is Strange. You have been waiting.
I know.
I've been waiting like every 2 weeks.
I know.
Shush! You shush!
Life is Strange. Hit it with us.
Life is Strange. The final bonus episode is coming out tomorrow, and it's actually kind of what we saw in episode 4 of the first Life is Strange, which is them back to when they were teenagers. So we're seeing Chloe and Max as teenagers for the final time. I'm super excited about it. But also, since that's coming out digitally, the physical release of Life is Strange is also coming out with there's a vinyl. Cool there's a vinyl limited release, and also there's the one that has the box art soundtrack and stuff like that. So it's reasonably priced. I think it's $39 for the limited edition, which is not bad.
That's great for video games.
Two big things as we approach E3 coming up soon. We got a little bit of teaser from Blizzard, really vague tweet, but basically it was a socket with a Diablo skull. They switched it on and they switched it off.
They're just sticking the lights, man.
Right, they're denying it all over the place. It's community has basically said this is Diablo 3 on the Switch, which is a fantastic idea. If it's true, it's all alleged at this point. The other announcement is Bethesda, of course, of Oblivion and Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, Fallout fame, and Wolfenstein 2, all supposedly to make huge announcements for the Switch as well. We already know Wolfenstein 2 is going to be ported to the Switch. However, my big assumption is E3 we will see a Fallout 4 on the Switch, which again makes perfect sense. Skyrim did really well. I've played that game so much, and I still bought it. I still spent $60 on Skyrim for the 5th or 6th time in my life.
Well, because you could take it with you.
Right. No, Fallout makes total sense because Fallout, I haven't played that game as much. When I say I haven't played that game as much, I still mean I spent over 100 hours playing that game already, and I still haven't played it that much. I could build
more.
So those games, throw your life away. Don't have a job.
Well, Rob, you got some comics over here. I cannot wait for this one you got on top.
I got a few here. Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, since we have this new legacy numbering, hits number 300 this last week. So it was actually a pretty cool book. Chip Zdarsky has his Spider-Man kind of down, but this is almost an Avengers type feel. It's got him with the ragtag group of heroes. It's got him, Hawkeye, Black Panther, and it's just an interesting story because the Tinker's in here and dismantles all the superheroes. He dismantles all superhero tech.
I do. I feel like there's a character that we haven't talked about.
Basically rendering like Ironheart useless, Black Panther, his suit useless and all that stuff. So you kind of get a feel of just a knockdown, drag out fight. Everyone going toe to toe. It was an interesting book. And then as you feel like, okay, everything's getting under control, alien invasion happens.
Yeah.
So
it's Marvel.
it's a pretty cool read. Yeah. This was probably the one I enjoyed the most, the Terrifics. I was expecting to not like this book. DC's New Age of Heroes has been definitely a hit or miss with me. So this is the next one coming out that's gotten a lot of attention as like, oh, that's a Fantastic Four ripoff, which it basically is. But this team kind of works. Mr. Terrific kind of feels like the Reed Richards. Plastic Man feels like the Johnny Storm because he's kind of like the jokester, goofy guy of the group. Metamorpho feels like Thing. And then this new character, Lynn, who they introduced in here from the metal world, the dark multiverse. She kind of probably play the Invisible Woman, the group. So basically a portal opens up to the dark multiverse. They all get sent over there and basically are in way over their heads. But it actually kind of is pretty interesting. And I do wonder with this team of pretty much no real big heroes in it, if it will last or it's going to just fade away eventually.
I think it's going to be a better movie than any of the Fantastic movies would be.
No, I feel like CW is going to say, hey, this is a great idea for a TV show.
Yeah.
Anyways,
they can put it on Sunday when the new Sunday lineup.
Spam has got its own book?
So Image, they keep throwing out all these new number ones as they always do. They're always trying to find some new creator. But this book came out the beef, and I grabbed it because, of course, the cover looks definitely pretty interesting.
Hysterical.
But this is probably one of the weirdest books I've ever read in terms of comics. So this book just profiles from beginning to end how a cow is killed to make a hamburger, but it's just like the background.
Weird propaganda.
It's the background for this story about this guy named Chuck who pretty much his whole life has been around this meat factory. His dad worked there his whole life till he died, and then he's been there till he's grown up now. So it kind of keeps profiling him, and at the same time, it feels like this is kind of like a PSA for why you should be vegan or something.
Yeah, right. No, that's what I'm getting.
So they keep kind of pointing out like all the things that happen to your body that are affected by eating the meat.
You know you're in Texas, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We got a beef council who's going to be contacting the show. Be like, don't talk about that shit.
At points, and
it's what's for dinner.
Obviously, this is a mature book, but at points, I was like, man, this book just feels real racist. It feels real bullying. It feels just like just a rough book. And then little did I know it was going to turn into an origin for a superhero who you'll meet in here, but it's pretty random.
I love this is the origin is like, let's see how beef is processed and what's it do to your body. Here's a superhero about beef.
Yeah, the artwork is very R. Crumb, like the old school heavy metal type look to it and all that stuff, and it's definitely something to get used to, but I'm kind of interested to see what they do with it next, but it's definitely a weird book.
Beef, check it out. It's what's for comics.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, we also got a contest winner this week.
We do. We got a contest winner.
Her name is Rebecca Baylor, and she won our weekly comic contest.
Our Doctor Who.
Yes, we had the connecting covers, which were awesome.
Yep.
And this week, of course, we got another contest coming out. We've got the Deadpool versus Thanos, which number 001, which I thought was an excellent cover, as well as a black and white version of the DC Rebirth Harley Quinn that we had. And next week, and that one starts today, so you can go on the CW35 Facebook page, go ahead and enter. Next week is going to be a really cool contest, so all you Thor fans need to go ahead and make sure you watch. So, right on. Good stuff for Thor fans.
Cool. So, I think that wraps up. I think we are good. We got everything?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Walking Dead happened too, but whatever. We'll get on that. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Comment, leave, likes, love us, please.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
I have no dismounts.
Share with us and share with them.
Yes. Cool. Well, Des, Brandon, Rob, and Cecily, I'm Chris Hoffman, and we will see you next week.
Detroit Become Human comes out May 25th. Grab it.